right. With that being said, I'm going to do a card reading for today. I got to do something about what's with this Maria Tavarez Parafin, I think her name is, and her Archangel Michael, who kicked my Archangel Michael out along with my higher to highest self, turned my dad, my connection to God, and my soul consciousness and all that, as well as my consciousness into a Dubik. By mixing him with a Dubik, I believe that will anyways make a long story short, he's supposed to be the ancestor to this guy by the name of Mikey Hernandez here. I'm not what I think it is. She mixed them with himself in that timeline, going back to August the 22nd, 2022. From what I understand, he was being held captive in her consciousness and was being tortured in Maria Tavarez or Vargas. She goes by different aliases, so you can use 694, 695 her to see the truth and all of that in the spirit plane. But I think her lowest self's name is LC Serrano, or Vargas, or Martinez. That's the reader who I got a reading from at 8704 Broadway Street at 87 in Broadway in South Central. She could be reached, I believe, at 323-778-7748. Again, that is 323. Should have done voiceovers back in my day. I feel her unplugging shit in my soul consciousness and everything else. 323-778-7748. With that being said, from what I saw on the spirit plane, he was being both of my parents. She destroyed my mom's highest self in that timeline. I remember people coming from some Isles Parish in Louisiana, Grand Isles Parish, where, which is supposed to be her next reincarnation, her next life. It's getting so bad. I keep hearing that my next life's ancestors are coming in and all that. See a bunch of white people. And I'm not, this shit got to get averted because it's not that hard to fucking deal with. But I feel her all in my consciousness. That's why my consciousness, it's limited. It's very, very limited when I speak. When I try to articulate, I forget things because she's very, very, she's infiltrated it. I wish I can get somebody to do some work on her ass and do something about her and get rid of her. Because I saw that timeline yesterday, and I had some very powerful, people, spiritual leaders in the spirit plane, some very, very powerful spirits, ancestors show me that timeline, and she is thriving. And I keep hearing her say herself, I want her to stay dead and keep stealing timelines from me. Use 694, 695 her to see, so I stay out of them. Again, going back to May the 1st, 2024, I keep hearing her insist I stay dead. I keep hearing her say, I remember seeing the Grim Reaper. Getting squiggly lines for timelines. Now I'm seeing lights. She has a bunch of, buku ancestors and all of that come and collect her ass when we try to do something about her, because we have to. It's a life or death situation. You 694, 695 hertz C, and this is an old bitch too. I mean, I'm a young woman. I have a long life to live. I'm 41. Well, just made 42. But with that being said, I saw my parents use 694 hertz, 695 hertz C in her consciousness. There was some other things I wanted to say, but she keeps fucking with my consciousness to where I can't remember and throwing shit out, and it's a veritable infestation. Trying to take timelines, throw me out of timelines and all of that, throw me out of parts of my consciousness. With that being said, I saw her in the spirit plane incorporate them into their consciousness. I heard at one point it was the Rothschilds and all of that. The first one was Jay-Z, whose real name is Sean Corey Carter. But from what I'm seeing, they got placed into her consciousness as well as that Dan Arcienegos, and were being tortured and tormented. And I saw their soul consciousness is attached to it. It's no joke. It's real. Like I said on my blog here, I got soul swapped. I almost feel her, controlling my movements and all of that, possession. That's scary. So I have to get rid of her. I have to do something about that motherfucker. From what I was shown in that timeline, she knew what happened to me. I ain't in the world of the living fully, if at all. And I say, I don't care where I'm getting all these blessings from, as long as I get them. And she keeps stealing timelines, getting other people involved. I don't know if she's using glamour magic from the Illuminati, all of that, in that timeline, that August 21st, 22nd, 2022 timeline. I had my brother's highest self, a woman, actually, concede to me that he did get killed in that timeline, and my own soul consciousness showed was being tortured by Santa Muerte and all that, pulled into her hell realm, and my own soul consciousness showed, that he was suffering drug addiction along with my parents that had been imposed by this entity here. And Alex not see me entering that timeline. And now, from what I'm seeing, the trajectory of it, it's a bunch of evil people that want to keep me under fucking heavy curses and want to feed off of me for the rest of my life, afterlife. Acting as, my higher to higher selves, acting as allies, like for instance, Zendaya, I heard, she signed up with the Illuminati, supposed to be tranquil and all of that, and signed me up as a sacrifice, as an incarnated God. I got He-Cape, but they're stolen powers from an entity attachment connected to my mother in that timeline that's connected to ISIS. And again, my dad is related to ISIS. We come from that lineage. With that being said, from what I'm being shown in the spirit plane, she took a lot of her shit and put it into her consciousness. The reader who I got a reading from, again, her phone number is 323-778-7748. I believe in particular that timeline, that May the 1st, 2024 timeline, she keeps putting it in that consciousness. At one point, it was over at that store, 8704 Broadway, but they keep putting it in their consciousness and keep making it to where I can't find it. And, being strewn all over the astral plane. I remember when I did something spiritual a couple of weeks ago, I was able to get a lot of my shit back. I was working with my ancestors, and from what I heard, them motherfucking wetbacks started running when they saw my ancestors. They got scared of them fucking blacks and Creoles and Cajuns and all of that. They got the fuck up the street. As a matter of fact, my dad used to, boastfully and proudly tell me about this. These motherfuckers out here think they mad tough. But when they went to my home state, my hometown, New Orleans, Louisiana, the MS-13, and before that, the Bloods and the Crips, I ain't got nothing against them, to set up shop, they ran them out. Them people, my people don't fucking play in New Orleans. We don't play with them wetbacks. We run them right out with their bullshit. We come from it's more than just Texas. We come from a stand your ground state, hold your gun state. We will shoot you, and it's pretty much fucking damn near lawless. And I remember talking about that. It's one of the reasons why I got the fuck out when I was growing up. I even had a motherfucker one time, I think, threatened to pull a gun or something, or he might have, and I was drunk. I was in the French Quarter, and I just, I didn't. Now I'm forgetting words because it's evil ass being. It kind of reminded me of when I got out of jail in Linwood right before all of this happened in 2022, and I didn't. And I had a motherfucker. I saw somebody passing by that car just now. It looked like they disappeared. And I saw like there, whatchamacallit's going behind them. But anyways, not once, she's saying what I need to remember. Not once did I flinch, or I do something about this because this is possession. I didn't flinch. I didn't get out of hand. I didn't get scared. I was just in a state of shock, but I didn't fear it. Like I say, that my incarnation, I had the projection of the magic man, Baron Samedi. I don't fuck with that Santa Muerte shit. I'm happy that shit, that crowns in people's oversoul consciousness. I've talked about getting rid of her before. It's your higher selves who have to act as her for her to be effective. Outside of that, she doesn't, she can't do anything. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. But anyway, she's been taking a lot of her shit and putting it in her lower self's consciousness as well as her own. And at one point, my ancestors were able to get it and take it back. Just like, your boy Trump. I've been wanting to talk about that. This whole timeline don't feel real. It's like the spirit plane. Just like he boasts about taking back America. With that being said, I got to do something about her to get my shit back because my etheric walls are thinning. Things are getting very, very crucial. Now, I remember when her and Santa Muerte were discussing taking Baron Samedi's ancestral money and all of that and stealing from him, I believe, in the spirit plane. I never seen a full-fledged ghost before. And I just saw a spirit walk past. Because I haven't seen that woman move from that spot. And there would be no need for her to be right back there. And I'm going to show y'all a video in which I saw a spirit. I believe it's a child spirit guy that got turned into a demon because of these evil motherfuckers and all that. I think that was seeing that I'm closer to that because of Maria Parafin, the Tavarez. Again, her Archangel Michael, I heard he looked like Machete. Mine's look like Sub-Zero. White guy, very, very cool. And they've taken a lot of his powers and destroyed him to the point of nothing. So anyways, with that being said, I got to take her out. I got to do something because otherwise it's going to get worse and worse and worse. I've been playing frequencies, but it gets tricky when you have somebody like that controlling crucial components of your consciousness by taking over your higher to highest self, your spirit guides, your damn near your God at one point, which is what she did with my dad. That's extremely scary. You know, your parents, she took their soul consciousness from that timeline. I saw her in that Dubbick Dan Arcianiga do that and put it on her and use that to start tormenting me and causing me problems. But anyway, something has to be done, and I'm going to, try my best, but I'm going to have to do something about that tarot read. I keep hearing her say, I don't care what you do to entity attachments, referring to them. So I don't know. I'm trying to figure out spiritually. I felt her in my soul consciousness. I felt her say that. I got to find out what the real one is and take her out, and that's the one in that May the 1st, 2024 timeline. That's the only way, from what I've seen and experienced in the spirit plane to be able to end this. I wish I knew somebody who could do work, because my whole thing, soul consciousness and all in consciousness is, compromised to the point where my own entity attachments, connection to God is barely effective. I keep hearing her torment my road spirits along with child spirit guys. She keeps stealing like she did my child consciousness and trying to take over that to have complete control and pull me into a hell realm. I see that they had a gentleman that just stopped there, so. No, I don't see anybody back there. That was weird. Looked like my next life self, but who knows. But I saw it in the Astral world, me with red hair and white, it's white, very, very pretty, from what I understand, beautiful. I'm gonna be haunted by this wetback bitch in my next life. Her and Santa Worthy, along with my grandmother Dorothy. Consciousness and fucking with it. She also keeps fucking with the highest self of mine, who was a Jewish ancestor, female Jew. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck is going on inwardly, and it gets confusing. I don't know what I'm dealing with. So anyways, them people don't open till Wednesday. You know, I wish I could get a name or something. Something that could end it. Again, I can only get through my fucked up third eye. You know, she even compromised that. My higher self was showing me. And Eliza Martinez, Vargas. Really, I first heard Serrano or Solano, but I put my money on, I think her maiden name is Vargas or Martinez. And I know her dad's Raul Vargas. In the spirit plane, he was a rapist. And her Archangel Michael is subsequently named after him, Raul Vargas III. I guess it's, you know, he's based on ancestors. You might Archangel Michael, so that's the ancestor he's based on. And, you know, watch it. They do trickery, and they're going to try to put it under somebody else. So use 694 hertz, 695 hertz. See, so anyways, with that being said, she stole a lot of my consciousness by getting into a crucial component. And I have been playing 925 hertz, which repels and gets back your shit from energy vampires. I'm just going to start playing that up again. And so after she did that, you know, I feel blind within. I noticed that she started taking over crucial components of my consciousness. By taking over, it wasn't just my higher self, but it was something else. Use 694 hertz, 695 hertz. See, hopefully she don't use deception. But she was, like she did at that New Testimonial shelter. She was using other people, mainly Mexicans, to do shit. You know, fucking using the energy or something. Let's go do that. She was using that. Sorry, trying to get messages. This is fucked up. I'm being tormented by that wetback bitch. I gotta find her Achilles heel or something. I gotta figure out how to bring this bitch down. Get this bitch out of my soul consciousness. Get my shit back from her. You know, I felt hers, and hers is, it's evil. It's very wicked. I want to take everything that you got, take all your blessings, steal everything from you. You know, keep you stuck in your head, have you go schizophrenic. That's an evil wetback bitch. She was fucking with me for having, like, tendencies, you know, dreams, which everybody does. You know, everybody has some degree of bisexuality. You know, I know this in this timeline. I kept saying over and over again, I don't feel like it's my original. You know, people are very, very, you know, look, fucking racist and not politically correct, but there's an intelligence and, you know, a sentence behind it. You know, in this timeline, I see people just make, you know, very, very, I don't want to say the word broad, but very, very just, you know, flat out statements without having it, you know, be rooted in reality. You know, just very, very dismissive statements about things, you know, without any intelligence or due diligence, you know, without any, you know, deep thinking is what I'm getting to. You know, there's no deep thought, you know, like I said in this video here, where I come from, we had what they call the black sun, the real sun, which is what they have underground, which is what the Illuminati, you know, wants to get us to, you know, without getting us to it, but they themselves get to it and we end up slaves. Eminem was going to reveal before they took him out, you know, and I want to mention too, all right, there was a bunch of stuff I wanted to say. There was a bunch of stuff I was saying, but I was caught off guard on camera. With that being said, it's a lot. It's a lot that I'm going through with her, dealing with this evil ass shit. I had to take a break, you know, just to hear in the spirit plane what's going on. But anyways, what's going on is she had went after, you know, from what I understand, you know, she's trying to get control of crucial components of my consciousness, steal it, you know, use it to pilfer off from me and my blessings, really to kill me off so I don't get my shit back. It's a lot of evil shit. I'm just trying to remember what else happened. Ain't gonna be no next life. Stop that shit. Keep hearing them say, "I keep seeing your next lifestyle coming through," and that's not good. That's, like I said, I'm a young woman with a lot of life ahead of her. I don't need this. Came from a good home, a good life. You can always fix things. I don't believe impossibility is impossible. She keeps fucking with me every time I try to remember something. She keeps trying to fuck with major components of, you know, my consciousness, memories, and all of that. Soul conscious connections, you know, my soul consciousness to family, relatives, ancestors. Marie Laveau, one of them. And I've been trying to get rid of her. She'll usually use wetbacks to try to attack that, like she did with Baron Samedi, to take him over. You know, they trying to manipulate it to get to the point where I can't even mention anything and have freedom of thought. You know, and, you know, because it'll threaten them and they'll start fucking with me. You know, it's very, very tricky. But anyways, yesterday she started going after major entity attachments that were trying to protect me as much as they could. You know, started dealing with all this shit. You know, Baron Samedi at one point was showing me, you know, without his spiritual protection, how things would be. I would be out of breath and everything. So with that being said, she's been trying to get rid of my highest self as well as Baron Samedi. And trying to remove them as much as possible, especially my best, sincerest, you know, my best, sincerest spiritual protection as my best interest at heart, my highest self. She's been trying to get rid of my child consciousness, which is the last of my consciousness, and remove that. And, you know, it's a lot of trickery. It's like, you know, what I was saying off camera. You know, I'll be told, you know, I'll put new entity attachments on you and then remove your old and then give you new ones. None of this shit I asked for. Something got to be done about that. You know, it's. I don't have anything that has my best interest at heart. You know, the only thing I had was God. My dad's my connection to that Anubis and Ra would help Nefertiti, but she took her over, her inner entity attachment, and started fucking with her. Evil ass fucking went back, and from what I keep hearing, you know, it's to try to kill me off so I can't get my shit back. Yeah, it's coming from that reader. You know, at 778-7748-323-778-7748. And so when I woke up in the middle of the night, you know, like I said before, it becomes tricky. You know, I'll be told use 3002 hertz to get your stuff back, which is very effective for getting your stuff back. And it gets tricky because she'll be telling them to tell me that, but I don't know whether to do that or not. You know, it's like I can't even use my own frequencies and common sense rules because she's infiltrated so much of my energy body to the point where she's uncompromised my inner entity attachments and spirits and all of that. So I don't know what to do. And I'll be told, you know, do this, do that. You know, she's also taken over and fucked with our inner entity attachments of Anubis, more so, you know, fucked with my parents' Samity. You know, part of my bloodline, the actual one. So I woke up in the middle of the night and, you know, was told, oh, do this and do that. And I was like, nah, you know, I was being told you may lose some of your entity attachments and some of your time. I'm like, this is fucking ridiculous. And then I was told, you might lose, you know, I got a call from my mother in the middle of the night because she started attacking my parents. You know, this woman in her highest selves. That's why I need to find out what her name is. You gotta stop doing that shit. Something gotta be done about her. About this shit about them people over there. Because I saw the dude who sexually assaulted an 11-year-old. I think his name is Jose or Ron, man. Next thing I knew it, you know, it had a major impact where I was able to get my shit back, but I would lose my highest self because she had stolen again. My parents' entity attachments or roach attachments or whatever came through. I lost my highest self. I was told if you don't play 3002 hertz, you're gonna lose this, but you're gonna get your highest self. You're gonna be able to keep the original woo woo. But if you don't, your parents will get everything back, but you won't be able to get your original highest self. You're gonna be under Maria Tavarez, which is where it feels right now in the back. You're gonna have her in charge, like a parasite that takes over your shit, and it's a problem. It's gotten so terrible. I've even had help from Jehoshaphat in the spirit plane to do something about this. Yeah, what to do. So anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night to find out she took, again, she took the soul consciousness of my parents, so she's able to manipulate their inner roach attachments, the inner entity attachments within. And was able to, almost get my higher self kicked out of her original form. With that being said, I woke up not knowing what to believe, and I heard my dad, his God self, would take care of it. Woo, woo, woo. With that being said, I'm just trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. It's so much trickery going on within. I thought I was being healed by an old higher self. Turns out that was an illusion. She's done taken over a lot of the soul consciousness of my higher self. And from what I understand, when she saw my real God self, she came in and started fucking with him. So I just don't know what to believe, don't know what to do. I gotta get this evil shit out. I don't deserve this shit. And I'm hearing these people live a life of luxury. They're doing very well, and I'm not gonna tolerate that. And they're thriving off of me in those timelines. It's getting to the point where these people act, and there's my higher selves, the people who put these curses. Or I'm needing help because of this Maria Tavarez from, like, these, niggas. So sadly, I'm gonna go ahead and throw these cards. It's a lot, and I gotta do something about it. So in the obstacle position, we got the Fool, and I thank you about take a chance, a risk on something that may not be worthwhile for you, may not work out for you. Knight of Wands, present position. You're going in a very good position. Just be careful and watch out what you do. Nine of Wands, future position. You're going to end up stuck in hell. I keep hearing, entity attachments moving, doing that whispering. She got rid of a major component of my child consciousness last night that was conducive to helping me out. Two of Pentacles, subconscious. I feel that there's a union going on between you and somebody else that you know is conducive for you and works for you, but really, may not be the best, but I think all throughout it really does. There's no deception. Queen of Swords, goes position. It's just take a chance and not deal with the bullshit. King of Wands, advice card. This bitch moving entity attachments as I talk. That's that Maria. Parafin. Irritating. King of Wands, advice card. I see you going in the right direction. I see you going in a very fiery position where you're not taking no shit. With the King of Wands, going to somebody that could, you know, help you out. Eight of Pentacles. Energy all around you. I remember seeing my higher self in like boxes. They did something where they blocked her off from being able to help me out, and one of my little spirits was trying to pull her out. Eight of Pentacles, I see you surrounded by people and things that can help you learn about the situation, obtain information about the situation. Queen of Wands. I see a lot of people learning about a situation and taking movement. Queen of Wands. Queen of Wands. I fear you're going to a female figure who will be a lot of help to you. Six of Cups. Outcome. Going to family. relatives for abetment. Anyways, if you, I want to mention something as well. I heard that she killed a young, white complexion Mexican young lady as well. I don't know how true that is. That's what I heard. They killed her for her blessings at that shop, 8704 Broadway. And I may do a longer video about it. Anyways, if you want a more personalized reading, please contact me at ravenbyterror22@yahoo.com, please.